Welcome, welcome everybody. Greg Peterson coming to you from the Urban Farm Fruit Tree Program. That's the shirt I've got on tonight. And we are talking fruit trees, planting, watering, and fertilizing for extreme tree care. I've been growing fruit trees in the Phoenix area since 1974. I planted my first peach, plum, and apricot at the Weldon House in 1974, and I got hooked. And I haven't stopped. When I bought the urban farm in 1989, that was a third of an acre near 12th Street and Glendale in Phoenix. I decided to plant fruit trees, and before I vacated the lot after 32 years, there were over 80 fruit trees growing on a third of an acre. In fact, this is some peach trees that were in the back of the backyard at the urban farm. And I just got hooked ever since. And this program was started primarily because I wanted to plant 500 fruit trees in Phoenix. I got this wild hair in 1999 and I was going to plant 500 fruit trees. And so I started looking for places to plant them. I found a place. I found a 2-acre parcel that a friend of mine owned. And he said, you can plant 100 in my backyard, which we ended up planting, I think, 60 in his backyard. Last time I looked, they were still there, and that was from 1999. And then after that, my friends started asking me about how to grow fruit trees in the desert. And so I started doing research in 1999 about how to do that. And I realized that you can go into most nurseries and every single big box store, and they will sell you a fruit tree that will never make fruit. And what I've come to realize is that's not a Phoenix phenomenon. That is an everywhere phenomenon. I've had to pay attention to that here in my new dig. So this fruit tree education program runs all year round. We do these monthly chats right here. This is the second Tuesday. I think it's the second Tuesday of the month. So the second Tuesday of the month, we do a fruit tree chat, and there's always a different topic. We usually do the planting, watering, and fertilizing class in January, because people that are participating in the Phoenix metropolitan area, well, actually the desert Southwest, are starting to come and pick up their fruit trees from us on Thursday of this week. So our education program runs all year round. In the fall, you can start pre-ordering trees, and then they all come in and you pick them up. We'll be open for about 9 or 10 days over the next 4 weeks for you to come and pick up your fruit trees. That's how we pay for the education and pay for Janice and all our cool people and like that. So that's how the program works. There is still fruit trees. You can come down to the lot and pick fruit trees, or you can place an order online. I know that Janice turns off our fruit tree cart from Wednesday to Saturday, end of day Saturday, because we can't be selling them on the shopping cart and selling them at the lot because the inventory gets confusing. She's got it all nailed down. So if you want to order trees, you need to do it tonight, or come and see us at the lot, or wait for an updated inventory on Sunday and place an order then, which I will send an email out with our updated inventory on Sunday. So Megan, yes, the pruning class is in your fruit tree member area. If you send me an email, I can get that information out to you. Megan asked about the pruning class that we did last month. So, all right, I'm going to share my screen and we are going to get on the road. Tonight we are talking about planting, watering, and fertilizing, extreme fruit tree care. Oh, this says with Janice and Greg, but Janice is not here. My website is fruittrees.org. Tell me, everybody in the chat, just somebody ping me in the chat, make sure that you can see my screen. I want to make sure that y'all are seeing it. So can somebody just give me a thumbs up? All right. Thank you, Megan and Joe and Mary Ellen and Jacob. Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. All right, cool. Let's do it. All right, come back here. Okay. Oh no, there we go. So first thing you need to know is about getting your trees planted. And this is some trees that we're getting planted in Janice's backyard. The tree hole, we are going to want you to dig your tree holes before you come and get your trees. The trees come two ways. There's the potted trees, the pomegranates and figs and grapes and berries, and some of the mulberries are potted. They come in either 5-gallon pots or 4x4x9 pots, and all the tropicals are potted. The bare root trees, bare root means that there is no soil around the roots. You're basically taking a stick. Now it's a very nice sized stick, but you're taking that stick home and planting it in the ground. For the bare root trees, and the bare root trees are your peaches, apples, apricots, plums, jujubes. I think that covers them. You want to plant those trees immediately on getting them home. So this is why I want you to pre-dig your holes. I want you to make the hole 2 foot by 2 foot, and it's going to be square, a 2 foot by 2 foot hole and about a foot deep. And then the next piece is really, really important. You're going to do what's called a perk test or a percolation test. You're going to stick a hose in the hole and you're going to fill it up with water and see how long it takes to drain. It doesn't happen very often, but if you still have a full hole 24 hours later, you've got to dig a deeper hole, a deeper and bigger hole. So it does, like I said, it doesn't happen very often, but you want to know that for sure. If you're on a flood irrigated property in the Phoenix metropolitan area, you're good to go. Rarely do I see this, but if you do have that problem, you're going to send an email to fruittree@urbanfarm.org and say, hey, tell me about how I deal with a failed perk test. That's percolation test. So there you go. So thing number one, dig a square hole, 2 foot by 2 foot and at least a foot deep or about a foot deep. And you're going to do a percolation test. Now, the next piece that I am going to share with you is about building healthy soil in the hole. You can put trees, dig a hole, stick them in the hole, not amend the soil, and they're not going to do very well, especially with our hot climate that we're dealing with in Phoenix. And especially over the last 3 years, we've had in the past 4 years, we've had 3 of the hottest summers of all time in Phoenix. And that has done a number on fruit trees. I can't tell you how many fruit tree pictures I get from people that say, oh, what happened to my apple tree? It just up and died one day. And I get the picture and it's planted in a gravel yard and so on and so on. So the next pieces are so important. Your most important job as an urban farmer, planting fruit trees, growing food, is to create healthy soil. I probably say this in every public appearance, every class that I do, every time I'm on Rosie on the House, which is once a month, I talk about the importance of healthy soil. Healthy soil, 5 components: dirt, organic matter, water, airspace, and everything that's alive in the soil. And the good news is the way that you fix it is you add organic matter. So that's what we're going to do. What we are suggesting, and we highly suggest this, is that you plant using this methodology. This methodology has been time tested. I have been planting fruit trees like this for over 20 years, and it's magic. It's absolutely magic. It goes like this. You're going to dig your hole. You're going to save 40% of the soil from the hole. You're going to put that in a wheelbarrow. If you have a lot of fruit trees to plant, somebody said to me, Greg, you need to get a cement mixer and mix it in a cement mixer. So you can put it in a cement mixer if you got a lot of trees to do and just let it mix up. You're going to add 60% Farmer Greg's planting mix. That is a planting mix that basically is made up of 2 kinds of compost, cocoa peat, some perlite, It fluffies the soil. Fluffies, that's a new word. It fluffs the soil. And it mixes in with the native soil. Now, the native soil is really important because it's got micronutrients in it that the plants will need. So 60% Farmer Greg's planting mix, and that's usually about 2 bags per tree on the bigger trees, on especially on all the bare root trees. So 2 bags of Farmer Greg's planting mix, 2 ounces of mycorrhiza. Now, mycorrhiza is soil life. It's fungal and soil life. That gets mixed in the wheelbarrow. 2 pounds of azomite. Azomite is a micronutrient mineral blend. It's got like 72 micronutrients in it. And we have that. We have all this stuff for you, so you don't have to worry about that. You're going to add 2 pounds of worm castings, which we get from Arizona Worm Farm. Those guys are rock stars over there. If you haven't been over there to see them, you should go check it out. Zach and the crew over there is doing my dream job. If I had all the money in the world, that's what I'd be doing, is what they're doing. And so worm castings, and then 2 pounds of organic fertilizer. We're going to talk about organic fertilizer in a little while. We sell two locally sourced organic fertilizers, actually, from tanks and from Bioflora. The Bioflora comes in a 50-pound bag. It's currently $60. It hasn't gone up in quite a few years. That is a great price for organic fertilizer. So check that out on our website. So what goes in the wheelbarrow? 60% planting mix. That's 2 bags of our planting mix. 40% native soil, 2 ounces of mycorrhiza, 2 pounds of azomite, 2 pounds of worm castings, 2 pounds of organic fertilizer. You're going to mix all of that up. That's your mix in your wheelbarrow. And yes, for our farm here in Asheville, North Carolina, which I've recently purchased about, 80 trees for that I'm going to plant out this spring, I'm doing exactly this. And for the ultra success method, Janice has put together an ultra success method. This is a really, really good idea to do this. This is our high creations line of foliar and drench feeds. We want you to prepare the rootstock in a tub, tray or wheelbarrow, and 4 or 5 gallons of water. You're going to put 3 capfuls of essence and soul in the wheelbarrow, and you're going to soak the roots in this bath for 15 to 30 minutes before planting. And then you're going to plant your tree. I'm going to talk about how to do that next. And then once you're done with that, you're going to take that water from the wheelbarrow and you're going to drench the basin around the tree with that. So there you go. That's for citrus. So this is for the bare root and the stuff that we're talking about picking up this week. And this is for citrus, which was in the fall. We actually do our citrus program in September and October. So we'll talk about that then. I should have taken that out. All right, planting to the correct depth. Oh, Deb wants to know how many bare root trees can go in that. I'd probably, in a wheelbarrow, if you're doing a wheelbarrow in 3 or 4 or 5 gallons, probably 3. So there you go. Planting to the correct depth. This is really, really important. I know that I've said this, I'm going to say this a lot tonight, but take notice of this. You want to plant to the root flare. I was on a job site about 4 years ago in Phoenix, and a contractor who should have known better had planted all of the fruit trees at this height right here. They buried the graft union and the trees were dying, and they couldn't figure out why the trees were dying. And they brought me on, and it's like, hello. So it's really important. It's really important to make sure that you plant it at the right depth. Hold on one sec, would y'all? I'm going to close the chat window. It's distracting me. Please, please, please put your questions in the Q&A. So if there are any damaged roots, please trim them off. We should have done that for you. Our trees arrived about 10 days ago, and we have done a lot of the pruning for you. They've pruned them up. We've healed them in. They're ready to go. You're going to take them home and you're going to plant them with the root flare just covered with soil. And the next thing you want to do is planting them in a basin. Y'all may have heard me talk about my 6-6 rule. This is 6 inches of woody mulch, 6-foot diameter basin. Super, super important. You're going to, if you're going to build it above grade, you need to have something to hold back the mulch. So you see on the right here, these are bricks. On the left here is gravel. So if you have gravel, this is especially important if you have gravel, to rake back the gravel at least 3 foot from where you're going to plant the tree. You're going to plant the tree on a mound in the middle. You can see the graft union here. You're going to plant a tree on a mound in the middle, and then fill the basin with woody mulch. 6 inches of woody mulch. We have bags of woody mulch. If you want to get it in bulk, you can get it from Arizona Worm Farm. If you want to get it in super bulk, you can get it from chipdrop.com. Chipdrop.com has a service by which they connect you with a tree service, and they will dump 20 cubic yards of woody mulch in your front yard. So take notice, it's a lot. So that's 3 different solutions for woody mulch. Arizona Worm Farm sells it. We sell it in bags, and Chip Drop gives it to you, but you get a lot. If you're going to plant this thing at grade, like in the case of a lawn, you definitely want to cut back the lawn. Bermuda grass can and will outcompete your trees. So by putting it in the lawn, cutting down a little divot in the soil, again, 6-foot diameter, 6 inches deep, and filling it with woody mulch. And then, yeah, this is going to do it. If you have fruit trees that are previously planted and you want to do this to them, you can do that. I have a video that I filmed a couple of years ago. Send me an email, greg@urbanfarm.org, and ask me for the basin fix video, and I'll send it to you. It's over on YouTube. All right, here's one that's planted. You'll notice that it's planted correctly on the left. The graft point. The graft point is where they take a rootstock and a fruiting stalk and they graft it together. Fruit trees have been done for millenniums, this hundreds of years this way. They take a thriving rootstock and they put it on the fruiting stalk on top. That way, so like a Macintosh apple, all Macintosh apples are grafted. So you know that if you're buying a grafted tree, you're going to get the exact fruit every time. Now, what I do have to tell you is the tropical fruits that we bring in are seed grown. They're every bit as good. It's just, that's a different way of doing it. So there you go. That shows you the proper way of planting. And the picture on the right shows you a little mound of dirt right around here. There's the dirt and then the woody mulch on the outside. All right. Oh yeah, my 6-6 rule. So this was done by one of our clients about 4 years ago. This tree was 3 feet tall, and this picture was taken 6 months after they planted it. This is what happens. They actually put up shade over the top. We're going to talk about shade in a little while. They put shade up over the top and woody mulch basin around it. Planting in front of a block wall like this is a little hard, so you probably need a little bit of extra shade. We're going to talk about that in a little while. All right, what you need to know for long-term success is you grow your soil like a forest. The white stuff, I saw somebody post on Facebook recently. They had some of this white stuff growing in their yard and they thought they needed to get rid of it. And the truth of the matter is, if you have fungus, you have mycorrhiza, if you have this kind of stuff growing in your yard, you're doing something right. And in a forest, the leaves fall, the deer do what they do. You know, you get manure landing on top and detritus and leaves and branches and that kind of stuff. And what happens over time is you get this soil growing, and that's exactly what you want to do with around your trees. And you can You don't have to do a 6 foot diameter basin. I talked to a young lady on the phone today who was just going to do their whole backyard. They're going to put 6 inches of woody mulch on their whole backyard. And you know, when Jake Mace was gardening in Tempe, he put 3 feet of woody mulch on his backyard. It turns it into a great big sponge. It builds healthy soil. It mitigates some of the heat, and the roots will love it on your trees. Oh, and by the way, you can do this for any plant, any bush, any tree. They'll love it. They'll absolutely love it. This is a 6-6 rule. This is more like 8 feet. This is a dwarf bonanza peach. The dwarf bonanza peach has a tall tree growing above it. That just to the right of it, that is the rootstock. And if you see something like that happen, you need to take that off. If that happens for you, you just need to send me an email with a picture, and I'll help you decipher your way through it. All right. So planting in a lawn is an option. That's my Kismet pooch. She's actually laying right in back of me right now. And those are cowpeas shading the basin around the tree. This was before I knew that I built this basin maybe 15 years ago. I would have made it, that's a 4-foot diameter basin. I would have made it a 6-foot diameter basin. And I actually laid concrete down 16 inches to keep the Bermuda grass out of that bed. So planting in the lawn is an option, but you need to make sure that you put your basin around so that the tree can get established, because the Bermuda grass will out-compete your tree. So, all right, and this is planting in gravel. That's a good start. Need lots more woody mulch and some ground covers, which we'll talk about here in a little while. All right, my watering methodology. So when you plant your trees, you're going to deep water them once. And then a month later, you're going to water them once again. And then a month later, you're going to deep water them once again. And around May 15th, you're going to start watering. So you water them May 1st. Then on May 15th, you're going to start watering them every 2 weeks. Now, some people say to me, oh my gosh, is that enough? Aren't they going to die? It is absolutely enough. If you follow our directions, if you plant it correctly, put everything in the hole, if you do your woody mulch basin, if you plant a ground cover, which we're going to talk about here in a little while, or in the basin so it shades the basin, this is plenty of water for your trees. I promise. I've been growing fruit trees in the low desert since 1974, and I didn't make this up. The Weldon house was on a flood irrigated property, and we planted the trees there, and they got watered once a month in the winter, twice a month in the warm season, and they thrived. So I just paid attention. In fact, permaculture, I like to call the art and science of working with nature. Permaculture is all about observation. And I just observed that. Because here's the deal. An overwatered tree and an underwatered tree, the damage looks the same. I'll say that again. An overwatered tree and an underwatered tree, the damage looks the same. So what happens often is people water their tree and then water it again. If they're watering it every 3 days or 5 days or 7 days and giving it too much water, it starts drooping. Then what happens? They water it again because, oh my gosh, it needs water. And then it droops some more and they water it again. So by doing this method, once a month in the winter, twice a month in the summer, I promise you it's enough. In fact, I promise you so much that we back up our trees with a guarantee. And then if you get to, let's say you water it June 1st and on June 10th, the tree is drooping a little bit, you know that you're not overwatering your trees and it needs a little bit of water. But here's what I found about that. That may need to happen the first year. But after the first year, it doesn't need to happen. Once a month in the winter, twice a month in the summer, good deep water is going to be plenty for you. How much do you water? Can't answer that. Depends on your soil. If you build your basin and flood it pretty good, let it fill up with water with 3, 4, 5 inches of water, that's probably enough. We sell some tools, a moisture meter and a soil probe that will help you decipher that. We have those available. I like to depend on my water methodology, my watering strategy, lots of woody mulch, and paying attention to the tree. Be one with your tree. All right, so now we're going to jump into fertilizing. Trees need to eat every day. That doesn't mean you need to fertilize them every day. But if you're only fertilizing them once a year, especially in the extreme heat, good luck. So what we suggest, and this is just something to remember in your mind, that around these days, Valentine's Day, so February 15th, tax day, about April 15th, so 2 months later, then 2 months later is Memorial Day, and then 2 months later is Labor Day. You want to fertilize them with 1 pound or 2.5 cups of granular organic. You always want to use organic fertilizer. Sorry, my brain just fried. That happens occasionally. Around the base of the tree. If you have, I'm going to cover how to fix it if you have dogs, because your dogs are going to love to roll in it. But here's the methodology. So if you have a 4-inch diameter trunk tree, this is the tree that you saw Kismet sitting in front of. It was in the front yard of the urban farm. It's now 6-inch diameter. Since I took this picture, it grew a lot in 2 years. So a 4-inch diameter tree gets 1 pound or 2.5 cups per inch diameter of trunk. So what we have here is a 4-inch trunk. So 2.5 cups or 10 cups of fertilizer. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 10 cups of fertilizer. 4-inch times 2.5 is 10. If you're going by the pound, you're going to put 4 pounds of fertilizer on this. Remember this: Valentine's Day, tax day, Memorial Day, and Labor Day. Let me go to this one first. If you have dogs, take yourself a shovel, put a wedge in the basin, rock the shovel back and forth. That creates your wedge. You pour your fertilizer down there and you cover it up. And you do this 4 or 5 times around the basin. That'll get the fertilizer down to the roots, and and the trees will love it. Don't worry about pruning a couple of roots. This is what's called a root prune on roots. It's not going to hurt the tree at all. And these are the fertilizers that we suggest. BioFlora fertilizer we sell in a 50-pound bag. Super Mix is from Tanks. We sell that in a 10-pound bag, only organic. And you want to fertilize just before you deep water. And you can find out this stuff at store.urbanfarm.org/granular, or you can just come down to the lot when we're open. We're open this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We're open next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and we're open the following Friday and Saturday for you to pick up stuff. This weekend, we do a lot of it by appointment. This weekend, we're full. So if you can wait, if you haven't placed an order or just want to come down and peruse, you can come down. Don't tell Janice I told you. Or you can place an order next week, come, and we'll be open for just walk-ins for sure next weekend and the following weekend. All right, and then we're talking foliar, and we do foliar feeding is when you spray it on the trunk of the tree. Now, I know this is not a fruit tree that you're looking at. It is a tomato plant, but it gets the point across. This is a foliar package that we sell with our Noble Gills Soul, Heart, and Essence. And we have instructions, I think. All right. When you buy this, you get a PDF of the instructions. It's a foliar fertilizing instruction sheet that Janice put together. It's absolutely amazing. It's also in your member area. If you need access to your member area, send me an email, greg@urbanfarm.org, and I'll make sure you get that. But there are all kinds of great things in the member area for you. These videos, data sheets, how to plant. There's specific planting videos that, in fact, I'm going to make an updated one when I'm in town next week. So And this is what we suggest, that you would just do them. This is what we call this. This is a pump sprayer. You can buy it at any um, big box store or nursery. And we have this part with the little white thing and the sprayer nozzle. We call this our sprayer mod kit. We have plenty of them. I think it's $9. It makes all the difference in the world for you. You basically take off the wand there that puts out a really fine spray, and you add one of these. It's absolutely magical. Our buddy Glenn turned us onto this, and there's actually I think there's a video on the shopping cart on the sprayer mod page on me showing you how to do this. It's super simple. It takes 2 minutes to fix a pump sprayer with it. All right, here's our foliar fertilizing. Very good. Here it is. This is the fruit tree nutrition schedule that Janice put together. And this is seasonal, and it talks about granular, foliar, and drench. Foliar is spraying it on the trunks. Granular is your bioflora fertilizer, and drench is you put some of this in a 5-gallon bucket. And we're not talking very much. We're talking an ounce or two in a 5-gallon bucket, and you spread it around the basin, and it'll make your trees sing. And again, first of all, the better you take care of your trees, the longer they're going to live. And the better you take care of your trees and the soil around your trees, the better the food's going to taste. I had this thing happen a few years ago. The woman that, Tony, the woman that taught me to train my dog, came to the house one day for a dog training. This would have been 5 years ago. And so we were doing our dog training. I said, hey, before you leave, take some of these oranges with you. And there were some car navel oranges, and I sent them home with her. And she called me literally 15 minutes later, and she said, oh my God, what are these? And I said, they're car navels. And she said, no, they're not. They don't taste like what I get in the store. It's like, well, of course they don't taste like what you get in the store, because they're not store grown, they're urban farm grown. And it's because I fertilize my soil regularly. The soil health just flourishes, and it makes your food taste better, I promise you. All right, here's the second half of this, and I think it's been updated with more data since we talked about, or since I put these in there. All right, cowpeas. So what this is Raymond. When you go to the lot, you'll see Raymond. He's standing in Janice's backyard, and you can see cowpeas in the foreground, and you can see sweet potatoes in the background. And we give cowpeas away for free. I've been giving them away for free for at least a decade. When you buy trees from us, we'll have packets of cowpeas for you. And they are a summer-loving, heat-loving plant that grows voraciously. Once you get them growing, they'll reseed themselves every year. So you don't need to plant them after year. Just plant them once, get them growing, and they will drop the temperature of your soil up to 50 to 60 degrees in the summertime. That is the difference between your trees making it or not. So you can plant sweet potatoes, you can plant cowpeas. Sweet potatoes, you get them organically at the grocery store. Cowpeas, we give those to you when the nursery's open. So I also want to talk to you about this. Sometimes things just don't work. And there's this guy, Farmer Greg, that's me. I've done everything per my instructions, and I still, this tree still died. It happens sometimes. You can see some western shade that I put up, and sometimes they just don't make it. And that's what our guarantee is for. You can find out our guarantee in your member area or on our website. Basically, we do all the education for free. Your job is to take the education, follow our instructions. If your tree doesn't make it in the first year, we split the cost of a tree with you the second year. So that's how our guarantee works. And I really love this one. So this was my story. So this is Farmer Rick's story. I get this email from this guy, And he said, earlier this year, you helped me out with my dying lime tree. I watched your webcast, dramatically altered the ground around the tree and bought mulch and fertilizer from us. And this is the difference that 4 months makes. This is his words and his photographs. The one on the left was the basin that he had and how the tree was struggling. The one on the 4 months later, that's it. 4 months later, this is the difference that it made. Now that's obviously bigger than a 6-foot diameter basin. That's more like a 12-foot diameter basin, but hey, the trees will love it. And the only other thing I would do is plant sweet potatoes and cowpeas in that basin. Oh yeah, here we go. And this is sweet potatoes growing in the front yard at the urban farm. And this shows you the bottom of this picture, 140 degrees with no ground cover. I checked the temperature 6 inches down, it was 120 degrees. Underneath the plants, it was 89 degrees. This is the difference between your fruit trees making it or not. And here's the deal. This is our ultimate goal. The one on the left was a picture that somebody sent me. They were so excited. 3 years after they planted their trees, they sent me this bucket, the picture of the bucket, and they said, oh my gosh, Greg, look what I got. That's it. It's going to take you 3 years to get a nice production of fruit off of your trees following these directions. Your trees are going to thrive. The ones on the right, those are mid-pride peaches and Anna and Dorset golden apples. That picture was taken at the urban farm about a decade ago. And yeah, so there you go. You can check availability for what we have available to purchase tree-wise at store.urbanfarm.org. And you can log into our member site at theurbanfarm.customerhub.com. All right, there you go. There's 40 minutes talking for me. Okay, I'm going to jump into questions now. Chandra wants to know, is it okay to plant citrus and peach trees next to each other? Sure. It's an aesthetic thing. So, you know, if you want citrus are evergreen, peach trees are deciduous. So your evergreen trees, your citrus trees will always keep leaves on them. Your deciduous trees will lose their leaves in the winter. So it's, you know, that's up to you. Tell us about exotic trees for sale. All right. So I've got this friend over in San Diego who runs Exotica Tree Nursery, and occasionally we'll bring in trees in January. And from memory, what we have are assorted guavas. Guavas do really well in the desert. So we have a bunch of assorted guava trees. We've got loquats. Unfortunately, he only had 15-gallon loquat trees. The nice thing about loquats is they start ripening in March and April. We have some kai apples. We have some mangoes that we brought in. I actually started harvesting mangoes from the mango tree at the urban farm. They take a little bit of extra care, but I harvested mango trees off of them, and the new owner of the urban farm came to me, texted me and said, oh my God, these mangoes are incredible. Sapotes, guavas, sapotes, mangoes. I know there's a couple other things. If you go to our website, there's a tropical tab on the website. All right. Al says, I've got 2 grapes and 1 blackberry coming, and I'm not sure I'll have a space to properly trellis them. You don't have to trellis the blackberry. I was thinking about doing goblet pruning for the grapes. I just having them freestanding. Grapes do need something to crawl up on. Otherwise, they're going to flop on the ground, and all your grapes are going to be sitting on the ground. So you don't need to trellis the blackberry. You do need to trellis the grapes. It could be simple. In the front yard at the urban farm, I had basically put in 4x4 posts that were 4 feet above the ground, and they were 6 feet apart, and I ran a wire between them. So it could be that simple. But grapes definitely do need to be trellised. Megan says, I missed the pruning class. Yes, the pruning class is in your member area online. Debbie says, I assume it's time to prune my peaches and apricots that I planted last year. Yes, it is. They have grown so much. You're doing something right. I would prune them down to about 5 feet. Anything taller than 5 feet, Debbie, I would prune them down to that. And if you want to send me pictures, I can give you some input on that. Megan says, I tried to order today. It told me to add local pickup to my cart, but I could not find that option. I think you left us a message, didn't you, Megan? Janice was going to call you back. If not, maybe we can chat in the morning. We'll get you taken care of. We still have plenty of plants. Amendments will be available to pick up. Amendments, all the stuff is available at the shop. So yes, that'll be available. Elisa says, do you do the same soak for potted trees as the bare root trees? You actually don't do the soak, but you do the drench. So make up, in fact, I planted out 50 elderberry stakes today. They were 2 foot long elderberry sticks that I've had in 5 gallons of water. They started to root, and I planted them out in pots, and I made up that drench, and I just poured a yogurt container on each one of them. So yes, you just don't do the soak on them. Al says, later this month, we're picking up 15 trees from you, all for my kids' school to start a small orchard. Oh my God, Al, you need to email me about that. That is cool. Says they have flood irrigation in there, and I'm trying to figure out where I should plant them for the flood irrigation. A low spot, a high spot. Low spot would probably be better. Send me, actually do this, Al. Send me a couple of photographs of where you want to plant them, and we can chat about that online for sure. Bruce says, how close do you plant trees? Well, that depends. A hedge, 4 to 5 feet apart, if you want them to be a hedge. If you want them to be a standalone, about 10 feet apart. Chandra wants to know, would you dig a basin, then dig the holes? Yes, I would dig the basin first and then the hole in the middle. Jacob says, if the entire yard where the trees are going is woody mulch from chip drop, do you need the additional depth? You do not. If you have 6 inches of woody mulch, just rake back the woody mulch, plant the tree on a mound in the middle so there's dirt up to the root flare, and then push the woody mulch back. Good job, Jacob. That's what needs to happen. Greg, when planting bare root, do I allow for setting the soil by planting a bit? Yes, you want to plant it a bit high for sure, especially if it's going to settle. So planting it high is good because they generally settle. Hey, Diana. Diana this isn't a question, but it might help someone avoid a problem I encountered. Test your wheelbarrow for water tightness before putting the solution in it. I created the solution in the wheelbarrow, but the screws at the bottom allowed it to leak into the ground. Lost half the solution before I noticed it. Okay, good. Thank you, Diana. Appreciate it. Oh, still 37 questions. Here we go. Is one method preferred over another? Looks like the top one if you're planting gravel and grass. Yes. So she's talking about either the below grade basin or the above grade basin. Neither of them is preferred, whatever's easiest for you in your situation. If you're raking back gravel, then you probably above grade is better. So Megan says, can woody mulch be put right up to the trunk of the tree? Megan, you want to plant your tree on a mound in the middle and put the woody mulch up to the mound in the middle. You do not want to pile woody mulch up against the trunk of your tree. Gabe says, for flood irrigated lots, can't really use mulch. Any recommendations? You actually can use mulch. I've done several things. First of all, you can just put the mulch in the woody mulch basin and some of it floats away. Second thing you can do, and I did this at the urban farm, is I used urbanite or broken up concrete or block around your basin to raise it up a little bit. So you can do that as well. So you just have to get creative. That's kismet. Dina says, should I plant the graft facing to the east due to sun? If you're going to do that, you can do that, but we suggest that you also wrap the trunk of the tree with a tree wrap. That helps keep away peach borers, and it shades the trunk of the tree the first year. And we sell our sorry, my brain's a little tired tonight. We sell our tree wraps. You buy 3, you get 1 free, and it deteriorates after a couple of years. So, but if you are going to face the graft, that was an old thing that I used to do. I used to face the graft north, east, and a little bit north, so that the graft point is out of the sun. Scott says, should we have a circle of chicken wire around our trees like the one in the pictures you showed? Only if you have chickens that need to get in or you want to keep something out. Yeah, so I did that to keep the chickens out, because the chickens will go in and dig it all up. All right, what is deep water? 1 hour. Alyssa says, deep watering, filling the basin for an hour is probably going to be a good deep water. If you want to know for sure, we sell the soil probe and a moisture meter. Sorry, again, my brain's tired tonight. So it's really hard to say because I don't know what your soil's like, but 1 hour with a hose or with standing water in there, that's probably going to do it. You can always email me with questions. Carol says, so describe drooping. I assume brown leaves does not equate to needing more water. Do you have a pick? I don't have a pick currently. Brown leaves this time of year, Carol, is your tree going dormant. Which is a good thing. That's what they do. So there you go. Let's see. Judith says, how do I figure rain into the watering schedule? If you're in the low desert, you don't have to worry about rain, because whatever little bit of 7 inches of rain we get a year isn't going to make a difference in your watering schedule. All right. Jacob says, for fertilizing, do you pull the mulch back or just sprinkle it on the dirt? Yes, you definitely want to put the fertilizer underneath the woody mulch. That's another reason to use the wedge model that I suggested. Leslie says, is there a way to buy foliar mod kits online? Yes, we ship foliar feed, foliar mod kits, plant starter kits, where there's a bunch of stuff on our shopping cart that we sell and ship. In fact, I think on the shopping cart, store.urbanfarm.org, there is a tab that says we ship these. So yes. Okay. Jewel says, it is true about fertilizing the trees. I fertilized, maybe it says, I mailed my Arizona sweet oranges to my grandson. Oh, I mailed my Arizona sweet oranges to my grandson. He loved them, said they tasted like candy, and no other orange they ever bought in the store had. Oh, love that. Thank you, Jewel. Hey, Jewel, I'm going to be on the lot starting Thursday for the next 3 weeks, so I'd love to see you. Sheila says, how long does the mycorrhiza last? I bought some from the urban farm, but it's at least 2 years old. So just like seeds, you kill it by keeping it in the heat. If you've been keeping it inside, it's probably just fine. Oh, Alyssa wants to know, where do I plant the cowpeas? You plant the cowpeas in the basin around the tree, and you plant them underneath the woody mulch and let them come up. In fact, what I tell people to do with cowpeas and sweet potatoes, make a divot, dig a little bit of a hole, put some planting mix in the hole, plant your cowpeas and sweet potatoes, and then put more planting mix on top. And that'll get them established and growing. And once that's done, they'll come back year after year in your space. Kara wants to know, woody mulch does not reduce the temperature of the soil. It does. It does a little bit, but not a great amount. Basically, it's like an insulation layer. And you know, growing sweet potatoes, which you can grow and eat, and cowpeas, which you can grow and eat, is something cool. And so here's the thing about sweet potatoes and cowpeas, and thanks for asking this, Carol. Sweet potatoes and cowpeas are on the same watering schedule as your fruit trees. They will do just fine on that same watering schedule. If you try and plant watermelons or flowers under there, they're going to need water more often and mess up your watering schedule. So that's why we specifically say sweet potatoes and cowpeas. Jacob says, for mulch versus cowpeas, you showed the heat difference between cowpeas and bare dirt. What about a good 6+ inches of mulch instead of growing the cowpeas? You know, it's still hot at the top of the mulch. Janice, last time Janice checked in the summertime on her mulch, it was like 140 degrees at the top of the mulch. So cowpeas are free, man. Sheila says cowpeas. I would imagine wildlife would like to eat them. She's in the desert, have squirrels, rats, javelina, you name it. Yep, probably. So you'll have to protect your tree around them. Any other recommendations or videos regarding flood irrigated lots? Gabe, send me your questions and I can, or track me down at the fruit tree lot, and because there's lots we can talk about flood irrigation. I grew on a flood irrigated lot when I was a kid, and for the last 33 years in Phoenix when I was at the urban farm. Alyssa says, how much space between trees? If you want them in a hedgerow, you plant them 4 or 6 feet apart. If you want to be able to walk between them, you plant them 10 to 12 feet apart. Deirdre says, what did you say was in your planting mix? Planting mix is cocoa peat, composted pine bark, compost, perlite. We do not have caracara navel orange trees this time of year, Deirdre. We do citrus in September. Carol says, do 2 trees need to be planted 6 feet apart based on the 6x6 rule? Not necessarily. There's a document called Backyard Orchard Culture in your member area, and it talks about planting fruit trees 18 inches apart. You can plant them in a triangle. When you plant them like that, basically you're planting them so that they'll, over the course of the next 3 years, grow into what looks like one tree. And you can, if you have a limited space, it's called Backyard Orchard Culture. You can check out that document in our member area. Christina says, can you plant nitrogen fixing shrub with a ground cover? Sure, why not? Anything different for planting an avocado tree? Deirdre, are you in the desert? If you are in the desert, what you have to know about avocados is they are extreme trees to grow in the desert. Every avocado tree I have ever seen planted, except one that was in complete and total shade at the urban farm, has died. Now, there are a couple of people that have avocado trees around Phoenix growing. They're extreme. You want to do everything that we talked about if you're going to plant an avocado tree. And, you know, I would love to see success with avocado trees in the desert, but there's a good likelihood that the heat will get it. They just don't like the heat. All right. Anonymous says, we ordered a few deciduous trees, but we moved to Kingman, High Desert 9N. Is it too cold for those varieties? You'll have to send me an email and ask me that. Probably not, but I have to know what varieties they are. John, we have a session on tree pruning in your member area on Customer Hub. So you can send me an email and I'll send you out the link for that. Oh my gosh, Alyssa, thank you for asking me this. This is really important, shading your trees. Number one thing you want to do is plant your tree correctly. Number two thing you want to do is you want to put in your woody mulch. Number three thing you want to do is you want to plant the cowpeas or sweet potatoes around the basin. Number four thing you want to do is you want to wrap the trunk of the tree with tree wrap. So once you've done all of that, unless you have an extreme heat situation with block walls and concrete, you don't really need to create a shade structure. Now, that being said, I have a video on my YouTube channel about creating a shade structure, and that's doable. Send me an email, I'll send you the link for that. Drew says, plant grapevines in a 6x6 hole as well. Ideally, you can go 4x4 basin with grapevines, but the more you do this, the better you build your soil, the better everything's going to do. Sandy says, where on the website are prices for planting amendments? I can't locate them. All right, that's going to take a minute. I'm going to have to go to store.urbanfarm.org and go to the general store tab. And there's a tab that's a picture down below that says soil, mulch, and amendments. That's where you go. All right. Sheila says, are fertilizer amounts the same for raspberry and pomegranate as trees for figs and apples? You can on the raspberries and the pomegranates, the smaller trees, you could go half that. I have a fig here waiting to plant, and I am picking up raspberry and pomegranate next Friday. Woohoo! Get your apples soon because I think we're running low on them. All right. How do we keep the roots of the bare root trees moist? We're going to put them in bags, plastic bags, sorry, but we use plastic bags for them, and send them home with a little bit of soil in the plastic bag. You can keep them in a garage or a completely shaded area in that for 24 hours. You want to get them in the ground other than that. So we manage that to get it home and to a time to get it in the ground for you. Anonymous says, I lost a few trees to peach borers a few years ago. What do I need to know about the additional class in order to make those trees thrive? Yeah, you shouldn't have thrown away the mulch. The mulch would have been fine there. So tree borers, peach tree borers, wrapping it with a tree wrap will help a lot. Foliar feeding. The foliar feeding, there's something that happens, and I'm not going to explain it tonight because I'm just running out of juice and I got 22 more questions to answer. The foliar feeding does magic, and when you come to the lot, you can ask me about that. But foliar feeding helps a lot with that. S. Craft says, I'm getting double leaves on my trees, one above that looks like two attached heart. Yes. What kind of trees? Are they citrus? Yes, probably. Send me a picture of the base of your tree down near the root structure, and I'll be able to tell you. And then 6 feet back. Okay. How far from a cement block fence fruit trees should be planted? Well, it depends on your heat, your gravel and that kind of stuff, but at least 4 feet away from a block wall. Sarah, she wants to know how can we protect zone 9 trees and zone 10? I'm not sure what you're asking. Zone 9 trees and zone 10 trees are the same trees. Let's see. Deb says, not a question, but maybe useful. I'll be putting all my peach trees in one large hole and all my apricot bare root trees in a second large hole. Great. This is what we call planting multiple trees in one hole, and you can get that data sheet called Backyard Orchard Culture in your member area. Bruce says, you mentioned planting near a block wall. How far away should it be? At least 4 feet. Jay and Al, what about yellow and drooping leaves on citrus? How do you repair it? I'd need to see a picture of that. because a few leaves in the winter is not a problem. They lose maybe 20–30% of their leaves in the winter, and they turn yellow before they drop. I'd need to see a picture up close and standing back 8 feet. S. Craft says, I planted a tree in a rain barrel and companion planted around it. Should I only plant a tree in a planter, or how far from the trunk should I plant guilds? Not quite sure what you're asking. I'm confused about the question. I apologize, but the cowpeas and the sweet potatoes grow right up against the tree trunk. And with both of them, you need to make sure that they do not climb up in the canopy of the tree, because they'll do that. In my planting mix was 2 kinds of compost, cocoa peat, and perlite. This is made especially for me. The Tanks Green Stuff made this up for us. They do sell it around town. So if you see it, do a high five to the people that are selling it. Thank you for that. And it's a great mix for planting your trees. We do sell Caracara navels in the fall. My whole fruit tree program is designed to plant the trees and deliver them in the exact best time to plant them. So the best time to plant deciduous trees is right now. The best time to plant citrus trees is in the fall. Oh, good question. AC says, is there anything to be concerned about using municipal water from the hose, hard water, etc.? Hard water, no. Chlorine, yes. You want to put a chlorine filter, and we sell them, on your spigot or on your home. You want to take the chlorine out of the water. S. Craft says, planted citrus tree in a, oh, yep, all right. Yep, I already did that. Anonymous says, since I use gray water, I won't be able to eat the cowpeas or sweet potatoes, correct? But it's still beautiful. Yeah, that's really up to you and what you put in the gray water. You know, obviously, if it's gray water, you want to not put stuff like bleach and stuff down it. So that's really up to you. Brad Lancaster, who taught me all about gray water 20 years ago, does. He would definitely eat the cowpeas. About the sweet potatoes, I don't know about that. Deirdre, I did see that you're in Northern California. I can't remember what your question is because I've answered 58 of them so far. Gabe says, is painting the trunk the same as using tree wrap? It is. I'm just not a fan of putting chemicals on my tree trunks. Gail says, great stuff. Thanks so much. Question for Essence foliar feed. Is it too cold in the morning or evening to foliar feed? That's a question for Janice. I think above 50 degrees and below 80 degrees is where we want to foliar feed. But Janice and Raymond on the lot can help you with that. Gail says, when do we plant cowpeas? You want to plant, great question, Gail. You want to plant cowpeas and sweet potatoes in March. They're going to do best then. Gail says, how close far to the trunk do we put the fertilizer? You put the fertilizer in the basin underneath the canopy. The drip line is where you want to put your fertilizer. That's basically if you were standing directly above the tree and look straight down, that's the area you wouldn't see on the ground. That's the drip line. That's where you want to fertilize it. Oh, Deirdre says, yeah, avocado tree in Northern California. Yep, no problem on that. Northern California, avocado trees do great. Plant the same way we do this, and we have a lot of that. We have the foliar feeds and a lot of the stuff for you if you want to buy it from us. Jacob says, any tips, tricks, or other things to avoid deep watering with irrigation? To avoid deep watering with drip irrigation. Not sure what that means. We have a drip ring that we have you put on your drip irrigation. You do not want to use drip irrigation to water your trees. If you have drip irrigation for your trees, you want to get one of our drip rings. We have those available and we do ship those as well. Sue says, how long does the tree wrap need to stay on the tree? I usually leave the tree wrap on until it falls off. Should it be rewrapped yearly to account for growth? You could do that. That helps keep away the peach borers on peaches and apricots and plums. How many years does it need to be in a tree wrap? For sure, until it can shade itself. The tree can shade itself if you're looking at it for shade. Carol says, flood irrigated lot suggestion. We just covered the woody mulch basin with burlap and held the burlap in place with rocks due to irrigation. Excellent idea. When we planted our fruit trees, I recommended that they do it for 2 years. Yep. When we removed the basins, that point the lawn grew back to the trunk. So far, so good. It's exactly what's supposed to be happening. The lawn Bermuda grass will outcompete and kill your trees. So you do that for 2 years, you're good, you're golden. All right. Yes, the recording will be available in the member area, and I'm probably going to post it on YouTube as well. Sarah says, I've set up my gray water system from my laundry, and I'm hoping to water one of my mulberries with it, but it might not, it should deep water it good enough. It's not going to kill it. Well, it depends what you put in the laundry water. That could kill the tree. So you got to be careful about what you put down, put in your laundry. How far from the tree for a drip line? Okay, so if you have a drip, if you're using drip irrigation, get one of our drip rings. You can ask us about them on the lot. Yeah, there you go. Get a drip ring. And the drip ring it waters in that area, in the water in the basin. It's big enough to circle the basin. Gail says, did you say to prune your peach trees to 5 feet? Somebody posted that they had planted trees from us last year that grew to 7 feet. I told that person to cut them down to 5 feet and do it now. If you have questions about pruning, send me a picture. That was 72 questions that we answered in the last 25 minutes, and I am about out of energy here. I'm on a flight in the morning. I will be in Phoenix tomorrow evening, and on the fruit tree lot Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and next weekend and the following weekend. Carol says, thank you for attending. We appreciate it. Store.urbanfarm.org is where you get all this stuff at. Jacob says, for the drip ring you mentioned, I don't see it anywhere on the website. It's essentially a bunch of emitters on a ring of tube. Yes, ish. They're built-in emitters, Jacob, and let me just go here, drip. Do a search for drip, and it comes right up. So in top right, if you do a search, just type in drip. It's called a drip irrigation circle. Thank you, Mary says. Thank you for being here. Yay. And like I said, I'll be on lot. You can come and ask me your questions there. You can send me emails. Deb, see you in a few weeks. Awesome. There you go. All right. I'm going to get some dinner. My sweetie Heidi is making soup. I can smell it. So thank you all. We so appreciate you carrying on. So the reason that I do this is because we need to transform our local food system. We need to grow food locally where we eat it, because we have such a tenuous food system in this world. It runs on a just-in-time delivery system. And in September, Ian, the hurricane. I was in Phoenix for Ian, the hurricane. We only got about an inch of rain. We're far enough inland that we don't get that much rain from hurricanes in Asheville. When I came back for the following month after, they were having trouble stocking the grocery store shelves. just from a storm like that. And we saw it with COVID. And so we need to be figuring out how to grow our food locally in our fronts and backyards. That's why I do what I do. That's what I'm committed to. That's what we do at Urban Farm U. That's what we do at the Urban Farm Fruit Tree Program. Check out my podcast, the Urban Farm Podcast, on all the major platforms. And thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And I will see you all on the lot this week. Bye, guys.